the narrative on black men, and we have to see how how low the bar has been set for black men, but two, it does highlight how important we are to this country. We are a tool for a lot of different progressive mentalities and opportunities and political advancements for so many people. But the bar is so low for us, to the point where if you're a black man who just keeps a regular 9-to-5 job, you're boring. Like, you're not even exciting enough to be a partner. You're not even excited. Like, think about how crazy that is. If you were just, let's say I had an experience, and then I'll tie this into Eboni K. Williams. When I first became a father, me and my wife, we had our first daughter in a birthing center. And when you have your children in a birthing center, you're in there, you're in labor, you deliver that baby, and you're back home. Like, it's almost like having a home birth. So the next day we went to Target. Target's one of our big stores, like a Walmart here in the Twin Cities. We went to Target, and we have our newborn baby. It's literally the next day. This baby is a day old. Now, some people are probably thinking, like, why would you take a baby out in a day old? Because back in the day, that's what happened. This is how we're human, right? So we're at Target, and my wife goes into another aisle, and I'm with the baby, and I'm just holding her, and I'm waiting for my wife to come back. Me, the baby, in the cart. And this white woman walks by, and she just has this amazed look in her eyes, and she just goes, "You're an amazing father," and just walks off. And I remember, I'm like, this lady has no damn idea who I am, but she sees a black man holding a baby, which she probably might never seen in her life. And automatically she just thinks I'm amazing, and I haven't been a dad for 48 hours yet. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But the bar and the narrative on black men is so low that just the sight of a black man holding a baby means that I'm good. I could be beating my wife. You know, I could have slapped that baby before we came in Target. We don't know what happened, but just her seeing that little window of a black man holding a newborn baby meant I was an amazing dad. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I should be like saying thank you to this lady, or was I just insulted? Because I realized what's happening here. And this goes back to the Eboni K. Williams conversation, because the value of black men is so low. Now, it was a setup question. You know, Eboni K. Williams, she's somewhat of a celebrity. She's probably like a D, C, maybe C-list celebrity. She's had some, Z, you know, about Z, but she's notable, right? She has enough clout to have a conversation about. Let's say that. And when she's asked by Van Zant about dating a bus driver, there's no way this lady's gonna actually date a bus driver. Okay, she's not. That's not her. So when she makes the statement, does he own the bus? She's making a statement that many black women associate with. Women on her level and women who need to date a bus driver to help them with their life. But the mentality, and this is due to social media things right now for many black women, is every black woman thinks she's bad. Every black woman thinks she's a 10, no matter what she looks like. Every black woman thinks that she can bag a Jason Tatum and a baller. And that is not the truth. But in the mentality to pump up the ego and overinflate the ego of many black women, that's what's been told. So Eboni K. Williams, who's probably had some engagements with some notable men, will not date a bus driver because that's not the level. So there's a level of class in this conversation. But at the same time, it's also the devaluation of what black men can or should be. In order to date a woman, a black woman, you need to own a bus company, not necessarily drive a bus. Well, there's some bus drivers who make close to 6 figures, if not more. There's some truck drivers who make well into 6 figures, but they'll never have a chance with Eboni K. Williams because she thinks she should be with Barack Obama.
So I had to go back. I listened to her comment, and it's kind of like navigating a minefield. But I will say 2 things. First, the power of just not answering the question, like, it's literally pleading the fifth. That's 1. 2, I am not mad at her comment at all. I wasn't mad at her comment. When you ask somebody about their personal preference, that's their personal preference. I don't care what their personal preference is. That's their personal preference. My issue only came when she then tried to explain herself, which she didn't need to do because it was her personal preference, right? And that's where she kind of put her foot in her mouth, right? Because he immediately then started referring to the comments, because a lot of people started to get in their feelings and people were getting upset. And the one thing that is more insulting than anything else, you can, call somebody out of their name, racial epithet, and etc. The one thing that people get hurt and bent out of shape the most about is when you insult their intelligence. When you tell me 2 + 2 is 5, right? When you tell me, no, that's not a bear, it's an elephant. I'm like, I know what a bear is, right? And this was that case in the explanation. I think when she said, people started to talk, well, no, it's about money, and it wasn't about money. And you go, we got to backtrack here, right? This is not a semantics thing. This is not a grammar thing. When you say, does he own the bus, right? You are implying that the driver is not worthy of my time, and right, my time, love, and all that goes into a relationship. Again, your preference to date the owner versus the bus driver, that's your preference. It's the implication and insulting everyone's intelligence when you say the owner. You go, well, it wasn't about money. And you go, okay. The problem about that statement, that it's not about money, is name owner of a bus company that's making less than the driver, right? Name the owner of the bus company that has less prestige than the driver, right? The owner of the bus company walks in and everybody straightens up. The driver walks in and you're going to ask him why he's 5 minutes late, right? And it was that explanation of it. I think that's where more criticism came. And then it absolved the actual, well, this is her preference from, whoa. Your preference is your preference. But then when you insult people's intelligence, I think that's where the big problem came. Now, I will say this. People put a lot of emphasis on who she is. And all you did was take somebody, put them on a pedestal, and put them in a public light that they wouldn't have ordinarily been in. I think also context. A lot of people really needed to watch the rest of the interview, and you also need to get familiar with her body of work before people really jumped out the window and were like ready to crucify her. But again, how she felt is how she felt. And if she doesn't like bus drivers, so what? Me personally, when she said that, the first thing that came to me was, this is a person who clearly doesn't know what it's like to live in, let's say, New York City in the dead of December when there's a blizzard and cabs won't stop for you because you're a black male and because the gang members in the city at the time are robbing and killing cab drivers. So cabs look at you and they keep passing you by. And every single time it's the bus driver driving the B whatever or Q whatever, stops at their stop, picks you up and takes you where you need to go. And bus drivers, and I'm glad you said that earlier because that was a very poignant point about the train. Bus drivers pick up angry people, sad people, suicidal people, people who are struggling with mental health. They pick up murderers, rapists. Bus drivers pick up the best and worst of society, and they do it every single day unwittingly. And they keep the city going. And so for me, I'm like, I couldn't look down on a bus driver. I couldn't look down on anybody in the city, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that, again, your preference is one thing, but you have to stand by what you got to stand by what you're saying. And I think when she tried to explain it, she tried to backtrack, and I think that's where she got in trouble.
Absolutely. Can I say one more thing to tag on? It also highlights how a black man's dating value has been reduced to just how much income he can bring in. It's not about the quality. Like you just talked about quality, bus drivers, characteristics, showing up for people, being a part of, civilization, getting people through tough times. None of that mattered. I guarantee you, Erica or Eboni K. Williams wouldn't date a bus company owner either. She wouldn't. I guarantee you, she wouldn't date that person either. Now she said it, but I guarantee, because she's in this gets to caste and class systems. She's around people like Joe Budden, people who are in media. She's probably around athletes. She's around these folks who are in a specific area. I mean, her ex partner, I think he was in banking. I should have looked that up. But she was with this white guy that didn't marry her, but he was like a well-off man. So she's our luxuries once tasted become necessities. She's not dating a bus company owner unless that's just one of a few different companies he owns. So let's be serious here. And her backtracking was really to go back again to fit a narrative. She wanted to get back with other black women and have folks stop attacking her, to let them know, like, hey, she doubled down. Let's not forget she did double down, but she has acquired taste. That's what she was trying to tell you. And so should you. So don't be judging me because I have acquired taste. You need to get some too. That's pretty much what her message was.
And also, I forgot something. I forgot that you said that. Then there was this debate about mediocrity and about black people not owning anything. And again, when you're in an interview, you need to be ready to either A, answer any question, because that's what interviewers do. They ask questions. Most people who do interviews, they will ask you tough questions, or they will throw out a question that they know is going to get clicks, right? Depending on your answer. And then two, in this particular instance, when we look at this idea of ownership and mediocrity, there's nothing wrong with having a job, right? However, in the black community, if you're talking ownership, just because you own something doesn't mean that you're not mediocre, right? There's a ton of people who we have seen, and it's prolific, people who own businesses, and they are trashy people. And like, as a teacher, I teach my students about the Gilded Age. They learn about the rise of cities. They learn about industry, but they also learn about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. And they also learn that there's people who will start a company, cut every conceivable corner, and risk the lives of their employees. You are the owner of a company, but your practices are scrupulous and your behavior is dangerous, and you can lead to the loss of life and sacrifice the people you own. For me, yeah, you could own something, but there's the integrity and character piece that goes with it, right? Just like you cannot own the company and not be average or mediocre, right? And so for me, and again, all of this is subjective because what you consider average and mediocre, but I think the people that were coming at her, they were taking this stance like, some of us are just trying to make it day to day. Everyone can't be on the radio. Everyone can't be Tom Cruise or Dwayne Johnson. We all can't be the international superstar that, et cetera, et cetera. And so, and I think you said it before, just in America in general, this idea that the more money you have also increases your value, it's just a fallacy.
Well, what I would say is that I refuse to allow Eboni K. Williams to define black manhood for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I refuse to allow any woman to define black manhood for me.
Mm-hmm.
Black manhood was defined by my dad. When he recognized that I was a man, he acknowledged me as a man. And then once I became a man in his eyes, since he knew what a man was, I never went back on that. And I don't step back off of that spot. And the thing that makes me angry is that she's irresponsible in terms of the narrative that she's putting out there about success and what it is to be a black man and a successful black man in America. Remember, I said to you before, it used to be the narrative that you could, if you took care of your family and you provided for them, you put shoes on, on their feet, and bread on the table and stuff, and you got them to school and maybe to college or whatever, that was a success. Because based off of the things that she's saying, is a lot of people like my mom and my dad that never, got on TV or radio or whatever. Those people that I respected and who is the reason why there's a show called Black Men Screaming were not successful. I've refused to allow her to define success in America for me. It's a different conversation. I had posted in the information with y'all. If it's 55% of the businesses that are black-owned businesses in America are black men. Most people wouldn't know that because every time you see them talking on TV about a black-owned business, there's always a woman they're showing. They're never showing you black men.
Exactly.
But yet we know the numbers, right?
Yes.
We're looking at the numbers. So again, there's a narrative that's out there, and we don't want her to continually put out that narrative. Let me tell you something that happened to me on Sunday, and on Sunday, and it really blew my mind. Something very basic. I was coming back from picking up some food. Yes, I was eating some stuff I had no cause eating. And I had some, I went to Wendy's, they got the biggie bags. I said, let me just grab something real quick or whatever. So as I was I had just closed my driveway gate, and then I was getting ready to go into my house. And this woman was black woman was standing in front of my gate with this little boy. I was like, oh my goodness, what is she standing in front of my gate for? Already coming up with all these negative images in my mind about who she was and all of this stuff like that. So then I walked to the gate, right? And I said, excuse me, to the little boy. He must have been like 6 years old. So he looked at me and he smiled and he put out his fist for a fist bump. So I gave him a fist bump. And then I can't remember exactly what he said to me, but he said it with a smile. And then he said, well, you have to also give me a high five. He must have been like 6 years old. So I stood there and I said to myself, look at this young man, this beautiful young child that's not afraid of me, that's raised with some type of level of manners, with just this black woman by herself pushing the carriage. I gave him a high five. And then I said to myself, I got to do a little something for him, because it just really touched me that I saw the potential in him and saw what she was able to do with him at that particular age. And I said to myself, this is the reason why we have to fight these narratives out here, because you got 250 kids a week being expelled from schools, and the majority of those schools expelling them are black children. Elementary schools, preschool, things of that nature. This precious young man will never get that opportunity. Maybe he'll end up like a Neely because of the process that they go through, because people are putting these labels and things on them that impede their mindset.